Great. Welcome to the City of Newport regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners, November 18th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. They switched things up on us.
They did. I was a little bit confused too.
Tiffany, please call the roll.
Commissioner Redwanski.
Here.
Commissioner Smith-Morrow.
Here.
Commissioner Recton.
Here.
Vice Mayor Fennell. Here. Mayor Kaduli.
Here. On the agenda tonight, we have a consent agenda which covers Commissioners' Orders number 75 through 88. So I'm looking for a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
So we got a first and a second. At this time, I would like to introduce John Hayden, who is our incoming city manager beginning on January 1st. You want to say a couple words, John?
I'm very excited. I'm humbled in a lot of ways that, Tom Fromey has been a mentor of mine and someone I consider a friend, and really taught me a lot about city government when I first got elected to the city commission in 2009, and we spent a lot of time together. And a lot of people ask me about it, and it's huge shoes to fill, and it's not going to be John Hayden can't be Tom Fromey, and can't replace Tom Fromey, but we as a team can, and we have a really good staff here. We have some new hires that come on board after the first of the year, and I'm very excited about the direction of the city is going to go. I think that we build on what Tom Fromey has created for the last 19 years, and then we explore some new directions as well. So I think it'll be very exciting. I think there's a lot of progress. I think our city has a bright future ahead of it. I appreciate the faith that the mayor and the Board of Commissioners has placed in me, and I will do everything I can not to let you down.
Thank you, John. Any comments or questions on the board? Julie?
Well, I have something that I kind of gathered my thoughts and wanted to just share about some of the history, but some of the background, our process, and what I feel about these two guys that we're hiring. So, in Newport, we have a city manager form of government, and this means that we have a board of commissioners composed of 5 elected members, our mayor, and 4 commissioners. And each of us has an equal vote on all city legislation. The Board of Commissioners is required by law to appoint a city manager as our executive agent, who is responsible for carrying out the policies approved by the Board of Commissioners and administering all city operations. Newport also has engaged citizen boards that help make decisions, for example, on city code enforcement, historic preservation, urban design, and planning and zoning. This city manager form of government works to balance diverse interests, respond to challenges, and gives greater access and broader representation to residents. I really believe that. Also, the city manager form of government serves to guard against political favoritism and corruption. And that's really how it got started, probably about 100 years ago in some of our eastern cities. So when City Manager Tom Fromey notified the Board of Commissioners of his intention to retire by the end of 2024, we knew that by law, it was our responsibility to appoint his successor. Our Board of Commissioners, with excellent assistance from our retiring City Manager Tom Fromey and professional staff, developed a process for advertising, interviewing, and appointing a city manager to follow Tom Fromey after his retirement. We used the process also to fill the assistant city manager position. We focused on the qualifications, experience, and performance of the applicants as we considered them, and we selected 2 professionals, John Hayden to fill the position of city manager, and Brian Steffen for the position of assistant city manager. I'm very satisfied with our process and our selection of these 2 professionals. I'm extremely proud of these 2 exceptional gentlemen, and I have tremendous confidence in their ability to lead Newport into the next phase of our city's life. Thank you, John and Brian, for your commitment and willingness to serve the city, and the residents of Newport. Thank you.
Here, here.
Thank you, Julie. Anyone else on the board? Although, okay, go
I
ahead.
think Julie said it all. We get the point, and it's a proper point, and it needs to be taken. This is the type of city government that will guard against every decision being a political decision, which doesn't always go with other forms of government. Some people will understand what I'm saying.
That's right.
Although we do not have the mic set up because we're going to be doing some photos as we have promotions and other hirings, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this matter? All right, so John is going to be ascending from the assistant city manager to the city manager. In addition, the next person I'd like to speak is Brian Steffen, that will be in January becoming the assistant city manager. So Brian, stand up and introduce yourself so everybody can see you.
Hello. I just wanted to echo what John had said earlier. I really appreciate the trust and faith that the board has put into me and John both to lead the city forward. And I have a great care and love for this city. I have majority of my life I've either lived here or worked here. My entire life, as I know John has lived and worked here as well. I stood in front of this commission 27 plus years ago, hired as the dog catcher. And I just want to express my appreciation of the willingness of the city over the years to not limit me or anybody else for that matter to ascend and do better and better yourselves. And we offer that to all of our employees. And I think it's important to create that culture and continue that to promote from within. So. Again, I very much appreciate the support that you all have given both of us, and I believe that will lead the city into the future very well.
Thank you, Brian.
And the assistant city manager is going to be a little more, what's the right word? Have a little more, much more responsibility than sometimes we've had in the past.
Well, I think for sure, we discussed this, it's an absolute team approach, and that team extends to this board and the residents, and I think that there's a new outlook in regard to improvement of our communication, and I think that that's one of the things that they've demonstrated as a team. They're going to be committed to that. So anyone else on the board? Anyone in the public? All right. The next one that we'd like to introduce is Stan Jones. Stan, you can come up and say hello, but I'd like John to speak a little bit about you as well, unless you're prepared to make comments, because I did not warn you.
That's all right. I'm Stan, I'm long life Newport resident. Went to Newport High School, graduated in 2000. Been working as a legal assistant for the city of Newport for a couple of years, and I just look forward to serving the city and look forward to this opportunity.
Thanks.
Thank you, Stan.
Thanks, Stan. You know, I'll say that Stan, as some of you may know, Stan worked for my private law practice for 14 years probably before following me up here to the city building. And, you know, Stan, in the 2 years that he's been here, and I've heard it from so many employees that they enjoy working with Stan, that he comes into work and he's happy, he's pleasant, he does his job, he never complains, he never gets involved in drama, he's just comes to work to do his job and put in a hard day's work, and he does it every single day. And Stan doesn't get a whole lot of accolades sometimes, but a whole lot of what goes on in the city runs through Stan's hands at any time in a given day. So he's one of the unsung heroes here, and very excited for him to make this well-deserved move up.
Well said, John, and agreed. Anyone on the board? Thanks, Stan.
Thank you. Thank you.
From the public? All right, we're going to move to the police department next, and I'm going to ask Chief Fangman to come up and introduce some of our new police recruits.
I will recruit Combs, recruit Huber, recruit Williams, and recruit Schweiss. Please come on up here. As you guys are walking up, I want you to take a look at your new family. All the support in this room, fire and police alike. Not only that, but great leadership in our city. Just to let everybody know, it probably can go without saying, but this is not mandatory that all of these fellow officers and fire personnel be here. So it looks like the pendulum's swinging our way, and our cadet program is a very good signal to what's going to be coming when it comes to recruiting police officers in the future. Something about Josh, all of our administration and city council and mayor are going to love to hear. He was born in Newport. Anytime I can get a Newport person into a Newport police uniform, it is a feather in my cap. Everybody loves to hear when we can get homegrown people. He didn't spend much of his life in Newport, but he was born here, so we're going to give him credit for that. He is a graduate of Campbell County High School. He joined the Army National Guard and became a paratrooper. He is still serving our country and doing a fantastic job of it. He joined Newport Police as a cadet in January of 2023. Christian Huber, I'm just getting to know Christian right now, came extremely highly recommended. We do extensive background checks to just try to find problems with people, and Christian is as clean as it comes. We would talk to his best friend at 8 years old if we can find him, if we can find some dirt on somebody and just make sure they're going to be good people. And that's all we need. That's all what our command staff needs. We just need good people, and we can make them police officers. Christian fits that bill. He is a good person, flying colors. He's a graduate of Campbell County High School. He lived in Campbell County most of his life. He was part of the Campbell County Police Explorer program for 6 years, and his father was a police officer. And as a fellow generational police officer myself, welcome to the team, buddy. Moving on to Mason Williams, another great cadet, extremely fun person, super nice, gets along with everybody. Him and Josh are everybody's little brother around here, and it's really how it's designed. But with that said, Mason's from Pioneer, Kentucky. He's a graduate of Simon Kenton High School. He shows livestock, and he's been doing it for the last 10 years, and it's been a great topic of conversation. He's usually championing livestock shower, pigs, whatever other animals. A lot of us weren't from rural areas to really pick Mason's brain on the fact that he's really great at showing animals is a very interesting conversation. But with that said, he joined Newport as a police cadet in February 2024. Nick Schweiss. Nick has been around since since you were 15, he started being a lifeguard. He loves Newport. He's been around Newport. He has family that works in Newport. Another very easy pick when it came to our backgrounds. Nick has done a fantastic job of also creating his reputation. It is something that we look forward to hearing from other people, especially at the pool and at Public Works, as he has also done some part-time cutting grass and things like that for the city of Newport. With that said, he's a graduate of Highlands High School. He's a U.S. Marine Corps reservist for 8 years. And then, like I said, he worked as a lifeguard starting with Newport back when he was 15, and he enjoys being outdoors, which is awesome because as a police officer, you're commonly outdoors when it's freezing. Your pen stops working, and it's very frustrating when people are yelling at each other and you're just trying to make everything better and you're cold. So I'm glad you like being outdoors. But I want to introduce your new police recruits to the city of Newport upon the next pending approval from the mayor.
First, are there any questions on the board?
No, sir.
Seeing none, any questions from the public? Seeing none, we're going to do the oath. But we're going to do it in a way that I'm not going to say the words and then you have to remember them and say them back to me. I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand and read the oath that is in front of you. It will simplify it, it'll make it better, and just think of those words that are important and those duties that you're going to do. This oath is central to that. Together. I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, so long as I continue citizen thereof, and that I will faithfully execute, as to my ability, the office of Police Patrol Officer in the Newport Police Department, according to law. And I do further solemnly swear that since the adoption of the present Constitution, I, being a citizen of the
Welcome.
Welcome.
Watch out for those hammers, will you?
Welcome. So glad to have you.
No more dueling either. That's out. No dueling. No more dueling, all right? All right.
All right, a couple more action items. Chief Peluso, if you would please come up and introduce the promotion.
Mr. Hubbard. So, Mayor, Board of Commissioners, and all those in attendance, thank you all. Appreciate your time tonight. This is firefighter Jamie Hubbard. He has been here since October of '22, and no, you are not experiencing deja vu. This may look oddly similar to the promotion we had last month, but that was his brother, Justin. So I am also pleased to present Mr. Jamie Hubbard, who is here with his wife Rebecca and their children, for promotion to the position of engineer medic in the fire department. He has completed the promotional process and has done extremely well, and has been here again since October of '22, and has done exceptionally well, especially over the past 18 months, and I have no doubt that he will just continue to excel.
Thank you, Chief Peluso. Any questions or comments on the board? Seeing none. Any from the public? Seeing none. Thank you, congratulations, and we'll be voting on it shortly. And the last item is an appointment to the Historic Preservation Commission. Catherine Quinn. Is Catherine here? Well, Catherine is going to be joining our preservation board, which is at the moment short. So we're so excited to join her so that they can get back to doing business. With that, I ask you to call a roll on all this, Tiffany. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Commissioner Redwanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Morrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Recton,
Yes.
Mayor Kaduli.
Yes. Thank you and congratulations to all. And we're going to take a 5-minute, maybe a 10-minute break to allow for some photo ops, and appreciate you all being here so that people can take photos with their family. Let's clear our position. back in, please.
Commissioner Redwanski,
Here.
Commissioner Smith Morrow,
Here.
Commissioner Recton,
Here.
Vice Mayor Fennell, Mayor Kaduli.
Here. Public hearings, we have none this evening. Presentations, we have a presentation, and at this time, I'd like to welcome Katie Jo Kirkpatrick and Tara Johnson Nome from the Northern Kentucky Ad District for a presentation overview of NKADD.
Yes. Can you hear me if I stand back here with the mic? Is that fine?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, Mayor and Commissioners, thank you so much for having us tonight. You have a number of handouts, and we have extras if anyone in the audience decides that they would like one. We're here tonight because the Area Development District, we have been in existence for well over 50 years, but our Board of Directors, which the Mayor is one of those members, recently passed a new strategic plan. And part of that plan is all about outreach and making sure that the community is aware of the services that we provide, that we are required to provide. And so this is a part of that outreach program. We're doing all 60 of the jurisdictions that we serve in 6 months. So it's my pleasure to be with you this evening to do that. I'm going to go over just a few of the highlights of the strategic plan. The full document is inside the annual report that you have in front of you. And then I'm going to go over very briefly the different divisions that we have and the general services that we provide. And then I would be happy to take any questions that you might have. So if you want to go to the next slide. I'm used to hitting my own slides, so bear with me as I try to ask. Yes. So, okay. Hi. So we were created as a part of state statute. So that makes us a little bit different than a normal, more standard 501c3 nonprofit, though we do have that tax designation. We are also a quasi-governmental unit. We are called out in KRS 147A, as well as a number of regs. So our geography of our 8-county region is set in statute. We serve Boone, Kenton, Campbell, Gallatin, Grant, Owen, Carroll, and Pendleton counties. And we have a 39-member board of directors. So each county's judge executive, as well as mayors based on population size, and then citizen members based on the county's population. So if you go to the next slide, please. Nope, other way. There we one more. There we go. This is just a quick listing. I know it's a little bit challenging to see. It's also on our website of all the different members of our board. So you can see from Campbell County, for example, Matt Elberfeld is actually serving as chair right now as Judge Pendry's designee. We have Mayor Gaduli, as well as Mayor Hamburg, and then 3 citizen members, Sarah Cameron, Joe Cottingham, and Tom Lampy. They are appointed by the fiscal court, as is the case with all the citizen members from different counties. So if you want to go to the next slide, and we'll just hang here for a second. So this is our senior leadership team, and they represent the different services that the ad provides. So I'll just hang here while we talk a little bit about the strategic plan. The Area Development District had the same executive director. I think I'm like the 5th executive director in our history. Lisa Cooper served as executive director for 12 years. She did an amazing job. So when it was my time, I became executive director 2 years ago. I really wanted to kind of get back to basics and see how are we doing, what can we do for our community, is there any gaps, is there anything that we need to be doing differently. So the 3 kind of values that we've been embracing for the last 2 years have been communication, collaboration, and customer service. And so as we think about customer service and collaboration, how can we really do what's needed for each of the communities? We were created in that state statute to be a technical support and a regional convener for our region. And so we wanted to make sure that we were fulfilling those tasks. So we were able to bring in a nonprofit consultant that actually serves area development districts and regional councils of government across the southeastern U.S. To conduct focus groups for us. We would have conducted them ourselves, but then you don't really get that independent view. So they were able to come in and have conversations with community leaders from across the 8-county region, and we ask, what can we be doing better? What do you need? And we got a variety of answers, because as you can imagine, we have a wide variety of communities that we serve. We have communities like Newport that have professional staff and are able to do so many things on their own. And then we also have communities that have one part-time clerk, and that is the extent of their city staff. And so that means that there's a lot of variety in terms of what our communities need. But what we heard consistently was that our community would like us to take a look at our board. How is the board communicating what we do? And also, how do we as staff really grow our capacity? Things like, we don't currently have a customer relationship management software. Many people in business have, Salesforce or something where you can say, oh, I talked to Mayor Gaduli about this. And then this other person says, oh, me too, I talked about this, and you can track it. We don't have anything like that right now. So those are the kinds of things that we're looking in our strategic plan to build up, to identify how we could pay for something like that, and then to really be efficient in our communications and our work with our communities by eventually, after the 3 years, is adopting that kind of technology to be able to have those relationships and be more holistic and less siloed. We also looked at staffing capacity with regard to the services that we're providing to our communities. So for example, we used to have community development and public administration division. Well, we'd already changed the name to local government services about 2 years ago because we aren't developing anything for ourselves. We're helping our communities with the community development that they would like to see. But when we heard from our communities, what we heard back was, in Boone, Kenton, and Campbell counties, predominantly, the assistance that we were asked to provide is more along the lines of public administration, help with things like calculating tax rates, or maybe doing revenue studies, or different things like that that were a little bit over and beyond what the day-to-day staff typically do, but really looking at the operation of government. In our southern counties, they were asking for things more like community development planning, because they don't necessarily have entities like the Planning Commission, for example, or things of that sort. So we actually were able to receive a grant from the Durr Foundation as an outcome of our strategic plan, and develop actually a standalone community development division, community development planning division, and that's why Katie Jo's here today. She is leading that division now, and we're still doing the things we did before: brownfields, hazard mitigation, community development planning, etc. But having that standalone team and having the support from the Durr Foundation for 5 years means that we can grow that work and hopefully continue to provide that service that our communities are looking for. So those are just some highlights from the strategic plan. You can see the entire thing in the annual report. And if you want to go to the next slide, we'll just kind of outline a couple of these teams. So the first that I'll talk about just briefly is finance and administration. You might think, well, everyone has a finance team. Why is this special? Well, at the Area Development District, we're a little bit different. We're not a taxing entity, but we do handle a lot of different sources of funding, 156 different sources of funding to be exact, and that is quite the undertaking. We also provide sometimes a unique service to regional efforts. So different communities might want to partner together to do something. They can use our finance team to make that happen, and we can be the fiscal agent. It can look really different depending on what the effort is. There's a spay and neuter program for cats, for example. We are the fiscal agent for that effort. Funding comes in from the Joni Bernard Foundation. We make sure that the funding goes to the veterinarians that are providing that service, and that's all we do. A little bit more complex, Office of Drug Control Policy. We are their fiscal agent and employer of record. It can get a little bit more complex. Their staff are actually our staff, but again, they have their own standalone board. And then the most integrated is the Northern Kentucky Workforce Investment Board, which is really kind of fully integrated into our operations, but technically we are their fiscal agent as well. If you want to go to the next slide, Aging and Disability Services is actually our largest team by budget and by staffing size. And this is really an effort at the heart of it to get helping individuals live independently in their homes as long as possible. We do that through a variety of means, but this is something where if you have a constituent, many of us face this. I know my parents did with my grandmother. You just maybe don't know where to turn with an older loved one or neighbor or coworker that just needs some extra help. Our Aging and Disability Resource Center can be that place to turn to find out what are those resources. The Teal book is part of that resource that's at your handout, but we also have an actual resource line. You can email them or call. So if you ever just feel like, gosh, I'm just not really sure what to do next, that can be a great place to start. We also do provide a number of other various services through state funding, but really the heart is to helping with independent living, and from there, we can kind of show what the different resources are. For those individuals that are living already in assisted living, we are also the local ombudsman office. So if someone has a situation, they feel like they're not maybe having their needs met or their rights upheld, our staff actually perform that function locally to investigate and to do whatever needs to be done if it needs to be referred to the state inspector general or something of that sort. If you want to go to the next slide, we already talked a little bit about community development planning and how we're building that out, so I'm not going to dwell on this, but one of the things I will just mention, for example, I saw community development block grants on your agenda for later in the day. If you have a project that is also kind of outlined in our regional community economic development strategy, we can write letters of support that can help those projects get sort of bonus points, if you will, because you can show how it's tied to larger regional goals. So we're always happy to do that whenever, and we can kind of craft those in ways that hopefully get extra points for those projects. So happy to do that whenever. If you want to go to the next slide, local government services, I also mentioned some of this, but I'll highlight two additional things. Commodities. We are the hub for, if you've ever heard the term government cheese, it's not just cheese, but we are the hub for that program. We have a commodities warehouse down in off Tobin Drive, down in Boone County, and we get food, non-perishable food as well as fresh, refrigerated and frozen, and then we distribute that to many of the food banks throughout our actually 10-county region. We go into Maysville as well. So if there's ever a food pantry locally that's not participating, please, please, please have them reach out, and we can see if we can get them tied into that program. We can't always determine exactly what food it is, but sometimes it can just be that extra support for a food pantry that's trying to help our local residents. We also have a revolving loan fund for small businesses, up to $100,000 for both operating and capital expenses. So we can get you information about that if you have any small businesses locally that might benefit from that loan program. If you want to go to the next slide, workforce development has really become a hallmark of our organization over the last few years. And we're very proud to be the home for the Workforce Investment Board, as well as a local initiative called NKY Works, which is a partnership between Boone, Kenton, and Campbell counties, as well as BNKY, which I'm sure you guys are familiar as the economic development entity for Boone, Kenton, and Campbell counties. So we're very proud to work with all of them, providing workforce resources to make sure our employers can connect to talent and make sure our job seekers locally can reduce barriers so that they can both find employment and maintain that employment. That might be anything from helping them buy work boots that keep them on the job, or maybe some training, maybe it's finding childcare, any number of things. So we're very proud to be a part of that. And if you go to the next slide, you can see this is actually our career center, which we run through the web, and 14 different partners, from libraries to Life Learning Center, Tank, all these different entities that are really coming together to be, no barrier, no wrong door, if you will, so that if somebody's looking for a job, they can hopefully find one and keep one. Next. This is the new splash page for NKY Works. There's now one phone number that employers can call if they need help. And so definitely would encourage you, again, if you have like a local employer that's not sure where to turn, great place to just get them started, and then we can find them the right, there's no shortage, if you will, of providers and nonprofits, but sometimes it can be an overload for employers of where to go. So this is a great one-stop so that they can get the help that they need. You can go to the next slide. And that's it. I promised I would be brief, but wanted to make sure that you knew about some of those resources, and then I'm definitely happy to answer any questions that you have.
Well, Tara, you fit a lot in that presentation in 10 minutes. It was
I promised
impressive.
I would.
And what number are we on the 66 of these that you have to give?
Oh my goodness. I think you guys are number 43.
Okay, so you're well on your way.
Yes,
And
yes.
very impressive. Any comments on the board?
Yes, ma'am.
I was at the NKADD meeting last week.
Yes.
And Julie Brossert was submitting a resolution to get funds to do environmental justice numbers, but it only included Ohio.
Okay.
And after the meeting, Mike Fiesel from KYTC came by and said, hey, the Ed District does that. So
Mm-hmm.
have it-
Talk to Katie Jo.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly. We're a little bit of in a transition right now with the Brownfield program, but I'm sure Katie Jo can help you figure out what we do have and what we can get.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else on the board?
So we had the housing strategy and briefing
sir.
discussion today.
Oh,
You
yes.
want to expound upon that just for the benefit of the board and the community?
Sure. Thank you for the reminder, Commissioner. Yes, so today we actually had kind of a milestone event in a multi-year initiative that we've been working on. Prior to becoming the executive director of the AD, I was the director of the Workforce Investment Board and associate director of workforce development at the Area Development District. And it's something it's been a little bit hard to say goodbye to. So I've kept the housing piece as kind of my project and Katie Jo's project, but certainly still tied to workforce development. We actually just made an update to the WIB last week. So if I can go back a little bit in time, back when I was working every day in workforce, we were having conversations with employers saying we are, especially after the pandemic was, kind of back on the upswing where employers were trying to hire, they were really having a hard time finding talent. And I will say, even to today, we checked with Corey, who's our associate director for workforce last week, 17,000 open jobs in our 8-county region last month alone. So we were having conversations about, we can't just job fair our way out of this. How can we reduce barriers for individuals to get them back in the workforce? We've talked about childcare extensively. There's groups working on that. Same with transportation. But when we started talking about housing, we actually partnered between the Career Center and BNKY to poll employers and ask them, do you feel like housing is holding you back from attracting and retaining workers? And half of the employers that we surveyed said yes when they responded, which was enough to say, okay, we got to get to the bottom of this. When we started looking at data, we really felt like there was data out there, but it was more state level or sometimes county level. It really wasn't tying like we needed it to, though, to our workforce numbers. We really wanted to understand the people that we have living in our community right now, is what they're earning, how does it relate to what's going on in the housing market? And so we ended up convincing our 8 fiscal courts and CVG to go in together, mostly with ARPA funds, and pay for a study. So that was in late 22. Study was conducted throughout 2023. It was released in September of last year. And I don't think any of us will be surprised to hear the data confirmed what we sort of were feeling was the case, that we do have a major housing gap, both in just inventory as well as cost. And we need a little bit of everything, and sometimes a lot of everything. We need larger homes, we need smaller homes, we need mixed, we call the missing middle, as far as we need more townhomes and condos and quads and apartments and condo. We need to live like all of it. But we do know for sure that the demographics of our region are changing. More people are waiting to make a family and to have kids, and hopefully we're all living a little longer without kids in the home as well. And so that means people are looking to downsize, potentially, not everybody, but some, into smaller units where maybe they're not having to cut the grass, et cetera. So the study kind of led us to this sharing of data, and then the data that we were presented, a lot of people asked questions of, well, how would we solve this gap? So throughout 2024, we've been convening a lot of stakeholders, builders, realtors, apartment landlords, finance people, nonprofits, economic developers, and probably more, commissioners, to ask them, well, what would have to be true to fill some of these gaps? And so today, we were able to show a draft of what we're calling a menu of options to really provide technical assistance to communities as well as employers and nonprofits to say, these are some of the things that could be undertaken in order to fill some of these gaps. Our communities are from Newport to Falmouth to Carrollton. those solutions are going to be different depending on where you are in your development, right? But we hope that this menu of options will be a tool, one tool, to help work with what's happening within the market and to potentially make some headway in filling these gaps. It's been a long time creating the situation that we're in. Most people track it back to the recession in 08, 09. So it's going to be a little while. There's not going to be just one solution. There's going to be many. But today we had 140 people come together and to provide some feedback into the draft. And so we anticipate having the final product by the end of the year. Thanks for asking.
It seems like some of your things that you're doing are kind of overlapping what OKI is doing. Do you guys work with them at all?
We do, and we know that they just came out with their housing dashboard. One of the things about the housing dashboard, and we've been working really closely with Andy, but you know, the housing dashboard is showing kind of what the situation is. We really felt like in Northern Kentucky, we needed to be able to say, okay, well, what might we do about those data points? But we're hoping that we'll be able to track progress on their housing dashboard as time goes by. We do transportation planning for the 5 southern counties that are not a part of OKI. So we try to stay connected to them, but we don't necessarily overlap because our geographies, even though we do serve Boone, Kent, and Campbell in some cases. Like, we don't do transportation for Boone, Kent, and Campbell, OKI does, but we do transportation, for example, for the Southern 5. So we stay in close conversation. We've partnered with them in an environmental grant recently. So our staff tries to stay engaged with them as much as
They don't I'm glad you're not duplicating.
Yeah, I know. No, we're trying to work with them on uploading some additional data onto their housing dashboard. So, yep.
Anyone else on the board? All right, well, I'd like to make a couple comments. First of all, your outreach has been impressive. You went and sought out every city that didn't have an active board member, which included ours. And I appreciate that. I also appreciate that your meetings are online.
Yes.
and we have the ability to attend remotely, which is great because that kind of fits in often with people's busy schedules.
Yeah.
And your words from day one have always matched your actions, and you've worked incredibly hard. And the work that you've done on this housing issue, you identified the problem, and you didn't stop there. It's like, how do we get to a solution? And you're actively working towards it. It's impressive, and proud of the work that everyone on your team is doing, and you're doing a great job leading it.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I appreciate it. Well, if there's anything else that comes up that we can provide information about, please reach out either to me, probably Katie Jo would be another great person, or any of our senior leadership team. All of our numbers and maybe not numbers, maybe email addresses are on the back of the kind of one-page glossy sheet. So you can feel free to reach out to anybody, and we'll try to get information to you.
Uh-oh, Katie looks like she's got something wrapped up there. I don't know what that is.
Oh, no, that was in the seat.
That was just in the chair. That's
Okay,
not
gotcha.
us. That's not us.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we can leave more of the one-pagers too. So, for
All
sure.
right.
And I'll just probably give those to Tiffany, and then you can have them available.
Well, thanks for hitting our
Thank you.
city on your route of
Of
66,
course.
and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. What's that? Oh, yeah. Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is a proclamation, as it is Small Business Month. Whereas the city of Newport celebrates our local businesses, small businesses, and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. And whereas, according to the Small Business Administration, there are 34.7 million small businesses in the United States. Small businesses represent 99.7% of the firm with paid employees. Small businesses are responsible for 61.1% of net new jobs created since 1995, and small businesses employ 45.9% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. And whereas 68 cents of every dollar spent at small business stays in the local community, and every dollar spent at small businesses creates an additional 48 cents in local business activity as a result of employees and local businesses purchasing local goods and services. And whereas in 2023, 59% of U.S. consumers aware of Small Business Saturday shopped or ate at a small independently owned retailer or restaurant on Small Business Saturday. And whereas the City of Newport supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. And whereas advocacy groups, as well as public and private organizations across the country, have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now therefore I, Thomas L. Gaduli Jr., Mayor of the City of Newport, do proclaim November 30th, 2024 as Small Business Saturday, and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday, celebrating its 15th anniversary year in 2024. In witness whereof I hereunto set my hand, cause the seal of Newport to be affixed on this 18th day of November 2024. Small Business Saturday. Let's clap for that. All businesses start a small business. All right, that leads us to the portion of the meeting which is public forum. If you have an item to speak on that is not currently listed on the agenda, please come to the mic at this time.
Hello, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Robert Yoder. I live at 510 Monroe in Newport, Kentucky. Congratulations to John and Brian. Well done. So I'm here tonight to follow up on a promise I made 15 years ago to Tom Fromey. I too worked for him. And Ryan Wyrick and I were talking one day, and he made a request that I would follow up. That the portion of John Street between 9th and the parking lot be renamed by the City of Newport as Fromey's Way. That's my request of you. I hope you can do it as soon as possible. Mayor Point to get the city manager to get the sign put up there. I've waited 15 years to make that. I complained to him that I might not be around here for 15 years. But I've come here tonight to keep my promise. All right, thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you. Welcome.
Hello again. Max Long, Newport resident, 2 Parkview Avenue. House on the hill over there. 3 things. One is a note quickly on the 2 Teslas that are being purchased. I cannot stay for the duration of this meeting, so I do have to leave right after this. But just a request: do your research. So make sure that you're factoring in the cost to retrofit the vehicles for police usage. Make sure that you have the proper charging ports in place. If you need really extra fast chargers versus regular chargers. My request is just make sure you do your research so there's not a whole bunch of additional costs that come after the cars arrive. So there's one thing. I also have, I'm just going to pull this up. I'm taller.
There you go.
There we go. I'm just crouching over. The 11th Street Bridge. I have an update for all of you. So I had questions last time. Now I have an update for you. After our conversation or after the updates I got, it was basically, it's in KYTC's hands. So I reached out to them like any millennial would. I sent them a Facebook message. They responded within 5 minutes. They said, basically, Covington is putting everything kind of delayed right now because they were reconsidering a redesign of the intersection on their side of the bridge, which they call the 12th Street Bridge, I found out. So I sent an email to the mayor. Mayor got back to me immediately. Very impressive. And he said verbatim, quote, "Right now we have no details about an intersection redesign, no renderings, no projected timeline, and no funding that I'm aware of." So I do not see a reason for the delay then. I don't understand if KYTC says it's up to Covington. Covington doesn't see a reason for the delay. You all told me last time it was pretty much in KYTC's hands. I don't know what's going on, but it might be a good idea to get in the same room with the Covington mayor, city officials, and a KYTC representative and find out, or just ask the question, is there any reason to delay further? Because it has been over 2 years, as I mentioned last time, since Gloria San Miguel was hit and killed. So that's one thing. The last thing I have is really just intersection safety. in our city. I'm gonna put this down. I've lived here for about 2.5 years now, so I'm not born and raised in Newport, but I have dove headfirst, and I've found so many intersections that are completely unsafe. So, have rhetorical question. Has anyone almost been hit or almost been in an accident or almost seen an accident at 11th and York? I've seen children multiple times almost hit by cars that are turning right on red or turning left at that intersection off of York. The 4th Street roundabout. Has anyone almost been in an accident or almost witnessed an accident at the 4th Street roundabout? I can keep going. There's a number of intersections that I think are problematic, and I don't think it's because of the bad drivers. There's bad drivers everywhere. I think it's bad traffic engineering. And I think it's something that we really need to take a close look at. We need to look at accident reports. We need to look at pedestrian injuries and fatalities. And we need to figure out where are the problematic intersections and what can we do. I dove into it a little bit. I found out the Commonwealth of Kentucky has made it illegal for red light cameras, so we cannot use those to stop people who are running red lights and doing things they should not be doing. So that is not the answer. So I implore you to think about this. I implore you to think about this the next time you're at Monmouth and 4th Street and you see someone turn left on red into oncoming traffic and you have to slam on your brakes. Or when you're walking across 11th Street on Monmouth and cars are not stopping when they're turning right on red, they're just rolling right through. I'm seeing a lot of heads nodding because it's true and it's a life safety issue. So it's something that I take very seriously. I have an 8-month-old daughter who I'm planning on staying here for a long, long time. And I'm planning on walking with her to school, riding my bike to school when that section of Monmouth between 11th and 16th turns into a bike lane. That's going to be wonderful. But just something to think about. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Max. Thank you, Max.
I'm a little shorter than Max, so I'm gonna bring this down. Hi, everyone. My name is Josh Tunning. I live at 212 West 8th. First, big congrats to John and Brian. I've known them for a long time. They've been great allies to the whole city and especially West Newport, so congrats and thank you. Just wanted to share real quick, tomorrow night, the West Side is having a holiday party at 402 West 9th Street starting at 6 p.m. Thank you to Brant and Kelly Owens for hosting us. But again, 402 West 9th Street, tomorrow night starts at 6 p.m. It's potluck style, so feel free to bring a dish or a drink to share with people, but don't feel like you have to. We just want people to show up. It's a great way to meet neighbors, build community, and just have a lot of fun. So tomorrow night, 6 p.m., 402 West 9th, and we hope to see you there.
6 till when?
Until we run out of beer.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah,
Brad, how late?
But anyway, thank you.
All right, thanks, Josh. Anyone else for new business? Oh, I'm sorry. Public forum. Going once, going twice. All right, we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 21st and the special meeting October 22nd. So moved.
Second.
Any questions or corrections? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Redwanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Ruckton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fennell?
Yes.
Mayor Kaduli?
Yes. New business, Commissioner's Order number 74.
An order of the Board of Commissioners, City of Newport, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the city manager to issue purchase orders for the purchase of 2 Tesla Model 3 electric vehicles for the use in the police department.
So moved.
Second.
Chief.
So I had Assistant Chief Day, who is our fleet manager, put together some numbers since, as you know, we started this out as a pilot program. We are purchasing 2 more because of the success of the pilot program, and I can give you some numbers that prove that. Some of the misinformation that people see in the media, I just want to remind everyone, the charging stations that we purchased were $500 each. We were able to install them with the help of internal people, and we did use a commercial electrician to assist with that. Those are not the fast chargers that everybody hears about costing $100,000. We do have some information coming in the future about potentially being able to get some of those at a much discounted rate, which we're working through right now with future City Manager Hayden and Assistant City Manager. But with that said, to this date, we're about a year into our Tesla pilot. Our 3 Tesla vehicles have about 11,700 total miles on them right now. We have used $224 in electricity to get them that far. If that was fuel, that would be $3,449. So this is projected out if, and we're nowhere near this, but if our entire fleet, which would give 45 officers, patrol vehicles and everything, in a year at these numbers, we'd be at $145,125 in savings of fuel, is what that's looking like. Again, I can't say Teslas are ready for actual patrol duties, but they are serving what we needed them to serve very, very well. They're cheaper than police vehicles at a good tick, even at this point. We are eligible to get the discounts through the government as well. I want to say we're at 8,000 we're getting on these. So it's been beneficial for the function that they serve. With that said, I appreciate your consideration to approve these 2 Teslas. And any other questions, I'd be happy to ask.
Chief, you said 11,700 miles. Is that across all 3 units, or is that the average per unit?
All 3 units.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions on the board?
Chief, can you touch on some of the maintenance costs with the Teslas that we have in regard to contrasting conventional vehicles?
We have had $0 in maintenance costs thus far, about a year into it.
Nice.
Any other questions?
The two additional vehicles that you want to buy would be used for what purpose?
So part of our plan going back to COVID, when we were advised and we saw that the projection of police vehicles was going from 27,000 per unit for a Durango, it's at 46,000 now in a very short period of time. The whole plan was to get our Durangos, all the Durangos that we could get for 27,000 into patrol. So the plan is to have the 2 Teslas be administrative vehicles. We have 3 Durangos left in the admin, but this will take care of at least 2 of them. We have some drug seizure money in the future. We might be trying to get that 3rd one finally out as well.
Once again, not for patrol.
Right. We do have a patrol lieutenant who does a lot of administrative duties. He does run a shift. We are testing it with him, and it's been fine, completely fine. So we might put another patrol lieutenant in, one who lives close. That way they can charge here, and we can still continue testing and see how it goes.
So the vehicle's for patrol eventually, if we go that route. Is it more expensive to put the cage in the back and have those set up? Because Max's point is well taken, setting out a whole, the whole cost of outfitting the vehicle.
It does not, from what we're seeing, there is no exponential difference in cost to get it outfitted. There are some companies that are already making cages, as we're using the term for the vehicles.
Right.
But they're not very much different from what we would do for a Durango.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
And I guess the question that relates to that is the vehicle itself large enough to actually detain and hold someone to transition them?
The Model 3, I do not believe would be, no, but the Model Y would be. So we were looking at Model Ys, they were a couple grand more, but since we're in the position that we just want to get the Durangos into patrol.
Right.
For the street officers, we didn't want to spend that extra money right now until we act. And the ranges keep getting more. So we want a Model Y, hopefully at a 500-mile range before we actually do that, just because different weathers do affect these batteries, as everybody knows.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes.
Any questions from the public? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith Murrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Recton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fennell?
Yes.
Commissioner Redwanski?
Yes.
Mayor Kaduli?
Yes. Commissioners, order number 84.
An order of the Board of Commissioners, City of Newport, Kentucky, granting a property assessment moratorium to Madison Temple relating to the restoration of the property at 725 Robert Street in Newport, Kentucky.
So, second.
John?
Mayor, this is a program that we've been doing for some time now, and we talked about that we're getting buy-in from all over the city. This is a house on Robert Street. They've made a significant investment in this property, so what this does, as the board is well aware, that this will hold the taxes in place for a period of years, allowing them to get a little bit of benefit for the rehab that they're doing on their house.
Any questions on the board? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Recton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Commissioner Redwanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Morrow,
Yes.
Mayor Kaduli.
Yes. Commissioners, order number 85.
In order, the Board of Commissioners, City of Newport, Kentucky, authorizing the selection of Atkins, Elrod, and Associates as the city's Community Development Block Grant Administrator Consultant for the city's fiscal year 24 and 25 CDBG program for current and potential projects.
Second.
Here you have Tom Gaduli Sr. and Dennis Elrod are here. I'd ask Dennis to come up and just speak very briefly. This is a process that gets bid as far as what Dennis's role is. There were no other bids placed, and Dennis can give you a very brief update of the project that they're going to be pursuing with this income.
Dennis, welcome.
What has prompted this discussion is that the latest project that the city is doing for new construction, the last house was sold about 2 weeks ago, which puts the city in a position of being eligible to make another application. The deadline to do that is the end of January 2025. The state still does have housing money available for this particular funding cycle. The proposal that Mr. Gaduli's group, Mr. Gaduli Sr.'s group, has put together and discussed with City Manager Fromey and upcoming City Manager Hayden involves construction of 5 new single-family houses. 208, these are all on vacant lots. No property is being demolished, no one's being displaced. 208 West 12th Street, 1036 Hamlet Street, 516 West 9th, 111 West 9th, and 429 Hodge Street. The houses are sufficiently separated that all of these houses will be the exact same plan, but it's not going to be like there are 4 of them sitting right on top of each other. They're just alike. If you have seen the houses, the new ones in the 300 block of West 10th Street, they'll look like those. They're 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, built on a crawl space. Some, but not all, will have off-street parking. The block grant application itself basically comes up with enough money to get the project going. Once the houses are sold, that money goes back into the project. Otherwise, you couldn't build 5 houses for the amount of block grant money that you can get. At this point, the plan is, obviously subject to City Commission approval, is for Newport Millennium Housing Corporation 3, which is a nonprofit offshoot of the Housing Authority of Newport, who has done all these other single-family new construction and rehab projects. They would provide interim financing to the tune of around $600,000, which would go into combination with the block grant money that'd be requested. The sale of the property, that money goes back into the project. Purchasers of the homes would get a $20,000 soft second forgivable mortgage, 0 interest. If they live there for 10 years, it's going to get forgiven. First 5 years, there'll be no forgiveness at all. That's a new state rule to prevent profiteering and flipping properties for profit. All buyers will have to have completed home buyer training through, it's a Kentucky Housing Corporation program that's offered by Brighton Center. There are some other regulations and requirements, but everyone has to meet what HUD defines as low to moderate income. That is, those numbers get adjusted every year. They're adjusted by household size to give you an idea of where they are. Family of 4 that earns a little bit over $80,000 would be eligible to buy one of these houses, presuming they meet all the other qualifications and requirements. Those houses will be made available on a first-come, first-served basis. If the project's funded, what's happened in the past, and the state requires this, is you run an ad in the paper saying, we're going to have properties available for sale, applications first come, first served.
and staff at the Housing Authority providing assistance to Millennium Housing, screen those applications. People have to be able to get a first mortgage from a local bank, have to get conventional financing. It has to be fixed rate, 30-year financing, none of the funny money, interest only, sort of loans. So the the 7 that we just finished, 4 of them are virtually back-to-back on Lindsay Street and 10th Street. I would encourage you to drive by those and take a look. They're pretty substantial buildings. The plans for these buildings have been developed over years, so we kind of know what people want, what they'll buy, and what they'll pay for. And even though the cost of building these has gotten to where it's stratospheric, Tom's group has learned how to squeeze pretty much every nickel out of the funding that they can put together. So we had met with the city manager. Tom had met with the city manager and asked that the city take a request for proposal process to retain a consultant. That would be me, hopefully, to prepare the application and serve as your project administrator. I always like to remind folks that if we don't get you funded, we don't get paid, which provides a tremendous economic incentive for a man that enjoys getting paid. To do as good a job as possible. So that's a thumbnail on the project that is expected to be brought back to you at your first meeting in January for commission action and approval to submit the application. There will be a public hearing in the interim that we will schedule through the city manager and your city clerk for people who have an interest in finding out more about the project. I think that's it.
That's a pretty complete picture. Thanks for sharing that. Any questions on the board?
Yeah, how about, go ahead.
Go ahead, Beth.
Do you have any idea right now what the price will be on the house?
$190,000.
Oh, I know how Tom does that. Senior does that.
170 is the real sale price, because that $20,000 soft second mortgage comes right off the top of that 190. What that does is, we found out there are a lot of people can afford the monthly payment. They can't put the down payment together.
Sure.
That's what this particular program does. Just, kind of in the way of truth in advertising, even during the worst time, during COVID and the pandemic and the financial markets cratering, the foreclosure rate on the houses that have been done due to people not making their payments starts with a decimal point. So there's a fair amount of work that goes in on the front end to pre-qualify people, because they still have to go to local lender and get themselves a first mortgage. It was $289.
These are first, if people don't know, these are first-time home buyers.
And you cannot currently own a house. You may have owned one in the past. You cannot currently be a homeowner and participate in this program.
Is that a new switch, Dennis?
No.
No, it's always been that way?
It's always been that way.
Okay. Have you, and maybe this question is for Tom, the demographics of the people.
Good.
The demographics of the people buying the current stock in the
Okay,
past.
I can't actually answer
Okay,
that.
what do they look like?
A lot of single people.
Yeah.
We do get some families. We get a lot of female-headed households with a child or two. We get some teachers. We've had police officers and firefighters over time buy these houses. We get people out of school a year or two or making enough money to make the payment. This is in many cases, it is their first home.
Considering that, as you say, most of them are single, maybe a couple, but why three-bedroom homes? Why 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes when, the predominant number of people are single or don't need that volume?
Well, they think they need it, or they wouldn't be buying it. But yes, could they live in a smaller house? Would it be more efficient? Yeah, maybe. But what we've found in terms of over the years of doing this, and we've done some 1 and 2 bedroom rehabs, and I told Tom Senior that when he started doing the first couple over on Forest, I said, "You've lost your mind. There's nobody who's gonna wanna buy a 1 bedroom house. I mean, you know, if you want a 1 bedroom, I know you want a 1 bedroom, you go get an apartment." Well, I was wrong, because those houses were sold before they were finished. So there has been a mix of units, but the new constructions have all been,
3-bedroom.
you know, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, built on a crawl space. That's, I won't even begin to go into why we're building them on crawl space, other than the fact that the State Heritage Commission says that's what they wanted. And they get a call on anytime you're using federal funds to do this sort of thing. Huh? Sure.
Build.
So, yes, I mean, the short answer is yes.
Are we missing a market that, for the 1-bedroom homes? No?
We're selling these that we're
Okay.
building. So the market says there is a demand for this type of housing.
Okay.
And a lot of people that buy these that are single now or don't have any children may very well be looking to change that situation in the future. Typically, this last group, we had a couple of single women with children that bought houses. But for the most part, we get, you know, 1 and 2 people, young people, that this is their first house.
Okay.
And by holding them, you know, to where they don't have an opportunity, somebody sneaking up on me.
Yeah. I was gonna warn you.
I want to mention
Like a
because,
ninja.
I mean, we're doing rehabs and we're doing home money for some of the smaller houses. So all of our rehabs are usually smaller houses.
Cool.
And so they're 1 or 2 bedrooms.
Three.
So we've been using home dollars for those, for the rehab.
Gotcha.
But the new houses are usually in a neighborhood where were 2-story houses. So the Heritage Council is in it. So it's been pretty effective. I mean, we might do 2 rehabs and 5 new constructions last year. And then we might do 6 rehabs of little cottages.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good mix, and it's been working out very
Well,
well.
there are 3 completely separated from this. He's talking about home money through the Northern Kentucky Home Consortium, 3 rehabs that are underway right now. One is in the 700 block of Isabella, one is in the 700 block of Patterson, and one is in the 10 or 1100 block of Columbia.
1100.
Yeah, so there are 3 rehabs there. They're all smaller units there. And at 823 Brighton Street, that one's well underway. That's another cottage.
We did one on Liberty, was a 1-bedroom. It
So-
turned out gorgeous, so. Right across from Brighton Center.
And just finished 3 that sold. One on Katura, 300 block of Katura. One in the,
Just look for the best looking house on the street.
yeah, one on 10th Street and one on Elm Street. Those are all 3 small cottage rehabs that were bought for home ownership.
So you'll be asking for $1 million? You were asking for $1 million?
Well, we're gonna give them a break. We're asking for $997.
That's fair. All right. Thanks, Dennis.
All right.
The only comment I'll weigh in on it is that, and I'll just say with the ad district, you know, going to that today, this is a textbook example of income-aligned housing. And in having that variety of housing stock is very critical. These are things that we've been talking about. So thank you for your continued work on this.
I think that's a good point, Mike. You know, this falls right into the crosshairs of the complex problem of housing and income-aligned housing and creating it. And Newport's, through the Neighborhood Foundation, has been on the forefront of that with CBDG grants. And this grant is going to need every point it can get. And it's the time when the state is most excited about doing it. So we are going to get a letter from the Ed District, right, when the time comes? Because we get pointing letters from everyone. We engaged our neighborhood groups. We engage everyone to ensure that we get the maximum points. The formula's been working, and Dennis, you deserve a lot of credit for that. And again, I think that you, like you said, we got to get it, or you don't get paid, and you know it. So the work continues, and we continue to do our part in the region in dealing with this very complex issue by leading. Home consortium dollars that they just spoke of, a lot of the other communities actually give those dollars to us to execute this, and it's a part of why Neighborhood Foundations has been so successful.
And after 47 years of doing this, I've kind of figured out what happens if you don't obey.
That's right. All right, well, looking forward to landing that grant in January. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Commissioner Redwanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Morrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Recton,
Yes.
Mayor Kaduli.
Yes. We're almost there. Commissioner's Order number 86.
In order, the Board of Commissioners, City of Newport, Kentucky, granting authority to Fox, Wood, and Still attorneys to act as counsel for the City of Newport and to institute condemnation proceedings for 2 parcels of real estate owned by Gator Newport Partners LTD along Carruthers Road in conjunction with KYTC Road Improvement Project number 6-427.00.
So moved.
Second.
John, looking forward to you telling us that we're gonna get this project started. I hope so too.
Right.
So just a little bit of background. This is the property owned by Gator Investments where, near where the bank is and where Aldi's and such in that shopping center. And we've struggled with them over time, as the board is well aware. They have not made any movement on this easement, which doesn't make any sense from our perspective because it doesn't really take anything away from them. But we do need it for the construction project. So we looked into what the next steps were. We ran into a brick wall with these folks. We did talk internally about the next process, which would be through condemnation and eminent domain. That's a very technical area of the law, so we did discuss with myself and Dan and Bill Summey about the best way to go about it. Because of all the technical requirements and this kind of thing and the substantial delays that it's been, we retained the Fox and Wood to move this forward. So what's happened is they've sent out all the preliminary letters, they've made threats to Gator, they've gotten nowhere. This had to be approved by the state. KYTC had to approve this because it affected them in the roadway. They have signed off on it, but they came back and said the Board of Commissioners needs to authorize a resolution to allow the condemnation to go forward, which is why that we're doing that. Mr. Stefan has been working with the law firm there on this, and he's working on this project in general, so if there are specific questions, Brian is here to answer those.
Just to kind of reiterate what John was saying, this was so many attempts made by staff, by Dan Braun, myself, John. Our design engineer for the project made numerous attempts. I was able to reach them directly a couple of times. Tried to explain this. This is an underground easement for utilities. It doesn't take anything. It's not a taking of the property. It's an easement. They'll be compensated for it. It's holding up 2 projects. It's the South 27 Corridor project and the Carruthers Road improvement project, the second phase of that. These projects have been sitting around for quite some time. Carruthers has been many, many years now. We've been trying to get that one going, and all of it hinges on this. I did speak to the attorney, and he indicated that once this resolution is approved by the board, all the filings are ready. He'll file tomorrow. It'll be approximately 60 days before we'll get access to the easement. Now, the entire process won't be fully adjudicated. However, we will be able to proceed after that 60 days with bidding and moving forward with the project. It won't hold us up any further. So then the money part of this and the compensation for the easement will come later.
Could they hold it up even further?
I think there's always that potential. If this landed in some sort of legal challenge, but I think it's a fairly straightforward process. We still can't discern why they are holding this up. And even in conversations that I did have with them directly and their attorneys directly, they couldn't really give a reason. They were always agreeable, and then just nothing would ever happen. There was no follow through.
They're not here, right? We're at Gator, I'm thinking they're in Florida.
They're in Miami, yes. We threatened to fly, John and I were going to go there at one point. Can we just go and sign this deal? not because we wanted to go to Miami. But
In
no,
November.
it's we really were, like, can we come to your offices? What can we do to get this to move forward? We did not want to have to go through the condemnation process in order to gain access to this. And here we are.
This could be their general modus operandi, is just not to do anything.
It's possible, and we actually have a good relationship with the company. The CEO flew up here when the center was redeveloped into Burlington, Ross, and Aldi. We had really easy time with them through that entire process, and so we were a little surprised, frankly. So
They forgot about us.
I think they forgot about it.
Brian, you want to speak about the costs associated with this?
Sure, absolutely. So the attorneys indicated with an agreed settlement, it would approximately $4,000. They are billing hourly in increments of, I believe it's in 10-minute increments. So their pencil is very sharp in that regard. If this goes to a full jury trial, it could be in the $12,000 to $14,000 range. And those are approximations, obviously, with any kind of jury trial like that could drag out. But hopefully we get to a point of an agreed settlement. We will be looking to recoup that money through the grant funding as well.
Okay.
One last question. This is the last item that is holding up this project.
This is it. We'll go out to bid as soon as we get the easement.
Great. Any questions from the public? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Redwanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Morrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Recton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Mayor Kaduli.
Yes. Commissioner's order number 87.
In order, the Board of Commissioners, City of Newport, Kentucky, appointing Commissioner Julie Smith Morrow as representative from the City of Newport, Kentucky to the Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana Regional Council of Governments.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the board?
Well, Julie, you know where I am.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Those are long meetings.
They've gotten much shorter over time. But if you need help, you know where I am.
You will hear from me, I'm sure, from time to time.
All right, Tiffany, please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith Morrow,
I will recuse.
Commissioner Recton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Commissioner Redwanski,
Yes.
Mayor Kaduli.
Yes. Commissioner's order number 89.
In order, the Board of Commissioners, City of Newport, Kentucky, appointing Mayor Thomas L. Kaduli Jr. as the alternate from the City of Newport, Kentucky to the Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana Regional Council of Governments.
So moved. Second.
You know where I am.
That's right. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Recton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Commissioner Redwanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Morrow,
Yes.
Mayor Kaduli.
Recuse. First reading of Commissioner's ordinance number 16.
An ordinance of the Board of Commissioners, City of Newport, Kentucky, amending section 150.23A of the Code of Ordinances concerning the appeal of code citations.
So moved.
Second.
I think, Brian, are you going to speak to this?
This is one of those truly housekeeping measures. A few years ago, we amended the ordinances related to Code Enforcement Board and the appeal time to comport with state statute changes that were happening at that time. There are two separate sections that touch on this in our ordinances, in the city's ordinances here. One of them a little bit less frequently used, but it is still in the ordinances. This is just to align that ordinance up with state statute. It is taking the appeal time for citations from 10 days to 7 days, but that does align with state law.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions on the board? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Commissioner Redwanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Morrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Recton,
Yes, move
Mayor-
ahead.
Yes.
Mayor Kaduli.
Yes. We're going to get to department head comments. Let's start with Dan Braun over there. You've been awful quiet tonight.
You didn't ask me any questions.
Well, I just asked if you had any comments.
Well, I'm trying to answer your question first. I think I may be jumping the gun here with something that's going to happen shortly, but as I understand, this is the last meeting of Beth before the board, so I just want to say congratulations to your retirement. retirement and wish you the best in my entire career here with the city. You've been on commission, and it's been a pleasure to serve and have you on the board. You will be missed.
Hear, hear.
And secondly, being counsel for the city for the extended period of time that I have, I've gotten to know both Brian and John in a personal capacity as well as a professional capacity. And I've always worked closely with these gentlemen. I like them both. I'm really glad and happy that you have made them the city manager and the assistant city manager. I congratulate them on their promotion to the positions that they hold. I think John was correct when he indicated that the new approach, or the approach he intends to take, is one of a team effort. I like to think of myself as part of that team, and I'm looking forward to working with these gentlemen, and I congratulate them both.
Thank you, Dan. Tiffany. Chief Peluso. You look like you got something wrapped up there.
So first of all, I want to say I hope everyone has a safe and happy Thanksgiving. But as well as Mr. Braun said, Vice Mayor Fennell, you have been here my entire career. July 10th of 2000, I stood right here and became a firefighter in the city of Newport through 3 promotions, as well as my appointment to the great honor of the office of the fire chief. You were here for all of those. So on behalf of myself and the fire department, I want to say thank you, and I want to say good luck, and I'll echo you. You know where I'm at if you need anything.
Lenny. Brian. Chief Angley.
I cannot say it better than Chief and Dan, but I feel the exact same way. We had a great party with Vice Mayor Fennell, and you are been a great leader for all of us. Thank you so much for everything you've done. But with that said, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you, Chief. Ken. Oh, I'm sorry. Assistant City Manager. I can't skip you already.
Already getting beat down at the job. You know? But no, I want to say, echo the comments of everyone else. I've had the pleasure of working with Beth on the board and on the staff side, and what a dedicated public servant that she's been, and that Beth always looks at things with fairness. You never see Beth do things purely for political gain. Just always here and being very common sense with her approach, and it's been a pleasure to spend time, get to know you and work with you, and I wish you all your best in retirement, and hopefully we can draft you into a few things here and there and keep you around a little bit, so. Thank you.
And Brian, I skipped you, but I'm not going to skip you. You have anything to add?
Actually, you did, but just to, you put it back on the point. And just like Chief Peluso said, Beth was here when I was hired as well, except for I was like 3 or 4 years before you and as dog catcher, so just keep. But no, she's everything that John said is 100% accurate. She's been great the entire time. Always steady hand and common sense approach to everything. And I've developed a really close relationship with Beth over the years as well, and she'll be missed. But I hope that when she leaves, it's not the last time we hear from her. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. All right, on the board, Ken.
Yes, Commissioner Fennell, thank you for your service. It's very much appreciated. I do have a comment to follow up on what Julie spoke about. This system of government that we have is called a city manager form, and it's not antiquated. It isn't the past. It is what served us well and has served us well for many years. Dennis Phelan and the professionalism that our city managers have exhibited going back, John, and the education that they have in their service. And when I spoke to Haley about Tom Fromey leaving, the word that came to my mind was professional. He always was a most prominent professional in the way he did his job. Prior to Tom was Phil Shefferdini, and Phil Shefferdini has his master's in accountancy and served us very well. Again, a professional manager. Before him was City Manager Jim Parsons, again, a JD, excellent man, did a great service to the city. And before him, Dennis Phelan, who they went outside the city and sourced. Again, a fellow that was schooled in the professional management of the city. And so I believe that reaffirming that in our city, that we want professional management is a way that we should lead the city and continue that, that tradition. The last thing is something that I want to talk about. I know I've hammered about parking issues, but I did get another call, and I have to bring it up. The encroachment from the event venues is continually encroaching for parking into our residential areas. So John, I really would like to see you and Brian take that head on. I know that after the first of the year, we're going to look at implementing some parking situations, which will be beneficial, but I really do need I think we need to pursue something that limits residential parking in our residential neighborhoods. That's all I have. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Ken. Mike?
Thanks, Mayor. You know, there's Bob Yoder made a really good suggestion with Thomas J. Fromey Way. I think it's a great idea. Thanks for putting that out there. I'd like to add two more. Not so much to change the name of a street, but to add a sign underneath it. And one would be at the base of Summer Hill, that be Beth Fennell Way. And the other one, I know, right? And the other one being at Grandview and Broadway, that be Frank Paluzzo Way. You know, since the time I've been coming here as a neighborhood rep, Beth has always been on the board. And while serving with her, I've really enjoyed having the honor to work with her these last 2 years. So thank you for your service to the city, and you will be missed. So in addition to that, you know, the ad district does provide a really good service. And, you know, we talk about income-aligned housing. This is a very important issue, and you know, the fact that we do have a housing shortage in our region, they do some really great work. It's been enjoyable to be a part of that committee with communications, and hope that we'll see some more information with that coming down the line. You know, we do have Thanksgiving coming up. I hope that everybody has a safe and happy holiday with friends, family, loved ones, whether you're here doing it in Newport or that you're or that you travel to do so. Hope that you have safe travels in your endeavors if that is the case. And so, you know, we did have an election. We have an incoming board member sitting here tonight, incoming Commissioner Aaron Sutherland. So look forward to serving with you in the next few years. And with that, Mayor, I have nothing else. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike. Julie?
Not a whole lot more to add, really. We've had, great meeting tonight. I've especially appreciated the presentations by Tara and Mr. Elrod. That was great. That was very enlightening as well. And we have a lot more work to do on housing, and you guys are doing great work, and we really appreciate you. So, Beth, can't believe it. Ever since we arrived here, also, you've been in service.
Thanks, Julie.
Congratulations, and thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
You get to go next.
Well, thank you, everyone, for your kind thoughts. It's going to be an adjustment. Congratulations to John and Brian. Everybody in this room, I've enjoyed working with you so much. I don't know, I think I could say something more intelligent, but I'm kind of getting a little bit emotional here. But you guys know where I am, as I said many times tonight, and I hope to be somehow involved, with the city. I have to give you another transportation update, though, or it just wouldn't be the same. I think ODOT's getting better at actually telling people what's going on, because there has been finally some articles in the online paper. But they do have a website, ODOT 471 Fire. You have to go down past all this gobbledygook about the fire that we still don't know what caused it. to the updates. But in the updates, they do tell you what they're doing, and they did get up there and make an assessment today. They're talking, but they still don't know how long it's gonna take. And they think they might have to replace some of the bridge decking along with the steel. I don't know, I'm thinking it's gonna be a couple months, really. But for people that want an update, you can get it at ODOT 471 Fire. Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, my good friends, Brewster Rose and Ann Lugbill, sat through this unusually long meeting. Thank you for coming. We'll be seeing y'all soon. It's been great. It's been 32 years of my life. But I've learned a lot. Welcome to Aaron. I'm sure he'll do a great job. Ellie, you've done a very fair job of good reporting. Mike, it's been great working with you. Tom Senior, we go back to the beginning.
Just of your 32 years, not like time.
I keep thinking about that time we were jogging across the Taylor Southgate Bridge and it wasn't open yet, and there was that wall. You remember that? And we actually heaved ourselves over that wall. Do you remember that, Tom? No. We're so much younger then. I hope I haven't left anybody out. But thank you very much, and Chief, it's been a pleasure working with you too, and I'll be back in some form. Thank you.
All right, well, it's nearly 9 o'clock, but I do have to finish up with some announcements and some comments and maybe one last item. But River Roots, can't really say Tall Stacks, but River Roots is coming in October of next year, and it's going to bring 9 boats, and it's going to celebrate the anniversary of our country. So it's going to be one of the first celebrations of the 250th year, and that is exciting. Closer holidays, Thanksgiving. I'm wishing you all a happy Thanksgiving, but the day after Thanksgiving, and we always announce this every year, the Peluso family home will be lighting their Christmas display. So we want to make sure we didn't miss that. Soon after, we'll be lighting a tree outside and singing some Christmas carols and maybe a couple other surprises. And that same weekend is the the Victorian Home Christmas Tour, which we are going to have the excitement of the newly renovated Taylor Mansion as a portion of that, which is going to be it's been on the calendar probably 2 times, but it's completely renovated, and it's going to be a new look and a lot of investment and a new opportunity to see that space in total glory. So that's exciting. But the most important thing I have to do tonight is reach under my desk here because it was too big to leave on top of the desk.
You did that pretty well.
I hit it well?
You did.
I did.
I was looking around. I'm thinking nothing's going to happen.
Well, Brewster was here, others were here, especially for this night, and for your 32 years of dedicated service to the city, of which I've had the opportunity to spend already 14. And my dad spent the balance of that with you on this journey of elected service and beyond. And you've done great work, and you've helped guide me, and I will always appreciate the mentor that you've been to me to help me grow in this role and as a role as commissioner. So I thank you, I appreciate you, and I know your number and you know mine, and we'll continue to talk. So congratulations. And at some point, we have to adjourn, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Odwanski.
Yes.
Commissioner Smith-Morrow.
Yes.
Commissioner Recton.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fennell. Mayor Gaduli.
Yes.